This is probably the most excited I've been to do a podcast because I've tried since and I've gotten asked this question, I've tried from the very beginning to get a woman real estate investor on the show. People ask me, how come there's no women? And I've been trying my hardest. They keep putting me off. That might be,
yes.
Is that a woman thing? I'm not sure. But I've got Miss Cindy Tolbert in the office in our studio today. How are you today, Cindy?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for the invite.
This may be the longest podcast episode we have. I've got so much I want to ask you and so much I want to talk to you about. I want to talk about women in real estate. We're going to talk about that in a second. I want to talk about, you're in Tuscaloosa.
I am.
So I want to talk, and I know you're in Tuscaloosa and Birmingham, but you primarily, your stuff's in Tuscaloosa.
I have properties there and in Birmingham.
But I want to talk about the Tuscaloosa real estate market. We're going to get to that too. And you host a meetup group too.
I do.
We're going to talk about all of that. You just mentioned the word contractor. This is the number one the number one question I get asked is, how do you find a good contractor? And even more specifically, I've been asked by many women, how do women deal with contractors?
I don't know if there's a good way to find a contractor. I have had good experiences with a particular contractor for 2 or 3 houses, and then it would be very poor after that. You have to stay on top of that. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's any different for women than men. I think probably the only thing that might be a little bit different is that there is a little bit of a prejudice in our society that the woman is not going to know as much about contracting as a man.
There's not a
and
question
sometimes
about it.
That's true. Sometimes it's not. It doesn't
Right.
have to do with male or female. It has to do with your experience in life.
There's no question. Yeah. But the perception is that the woman, it's just like going to a mechanic. Mm-hmm. I don't know anything about cars.
Right.
But I may get treated differently just the fact that I'm a man.
Right.
In the beginning. And you may know everything about cars. That's the question. How would someone who's new, because you hit the nail on the head, it's experience. If you've got experience, then no contractor is going to be able to tell you something that's ridiculous because you'll be all over it. You'll be on top of it. If you're new and you're a female, what advice would you give, and maybe talk about some experiences that you had in the past, what advice would you give to someone who's new, who's trying to find that contractor?
If you're brand new and you know very little about construction, mm-hmm. I would say, or if you're new in the business and know very little about purchasing properties, the ARVs, determining an ARV or the repair cost, I would say a good strategy other than your education is maybe partnering with an experienced investor. Offer that investor an equity share mm-hmm. in that just for their education. It sounds like a lot of money. Say if you make $40,000 on a flip, you're going to end up giving them $20,000. That is not really expensive education in this industry. I probably have spent upwards of $50,000 on education myself, and that's only been over the last 5 years. Mm-hmm.